What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to basically just talk about Friday the 13th. Talk about the state of Friday the 13th in 2020. This is a game that I've always said throughout the amount of videos I've done of this game since literally the day it came out. I've been a supporter of this game where I've played it, I've talked about it, all that kind of stuff since the day it came out. I remember first hearing about this game. I remember first being very excited about what it could be, like the potential for it, and seeing, beta gameplay for it, seeing people like Ohm and those kind of like YouTube Let's Players play the game leading up to its release, buying the game day one, and I played that game so much when it came out. The sad state of this game in 2020 is that it's kind of the same as it's always been. And that's, I've made a lot of videos talking about Predator Hunting Grounds, and I've done that because it's the same development studio that made Friday the 13th that's making it. And I have such high hopes that Predator can be a lot of what Friday the 13th was, but also eliminate all of that bad. And truth be told, there's a lot of bad. There was a lot of bad with Friday the 13th, and it's still there now. The game still, to this day, has never, in my opinion, taken those next steps to reverse all of the negativity that came onto it shortly after it released. And here's the story of Friday the 13th, for those that don't know. Game came out. Game was a smash hit. I don't think anybody thought the game would do as well as it did, okay? So many people were playing that game. It still, I think, is a very popular game. At the same time, the game, I think, couldn't be more of a mess. It couldn't have been more of a mess back in 2017. And to be honest, even here in the beginning of 2020, it really, has it taken... Am I saying that's the exact same, what it was? No. And again, to its core, it's still the brilliant, fun game that you can play with friends, that you can enjoy, that's just a blast when it's working properly, that it always has been. That's what Friday the 13th at its core is a very solid game that honestly I think did something revolutionary. Now you could say, okay, well, Dead by Daylight, and Dead by Daylight is a phenomenal game. I love Dead by Daylight. It means more to me than I can even say in this video for a lot of different reasons that I won't get into. But so I'm not saying, that Friday the 13th is like the only game that can do it. But Friday the 13th, I think, is honestly very, very special. It just didn't keep the enthusiasm and all of the support that it had in those first couple months. The first couple months of Friday the 13th were absolutely amazing. And I think after that, it definitely trailed off. Now, the lawsuit definitely has something to do with it, right? They really couldn't update the game in terms of skins, in terms of additional Jasons that they had kind of promised or kind of hinted at, we'd be getting. They really didn't do much of that stuff past the summer of 2017. Now, that didn't stop them from being able to fix their game, which to this day, I still truly believe it's not fixed. Yes, I get that there were some very, very big things that needed to be addressed and needed to be fixed, and it takes a long time, and it's difficult, and it's so engraved in the core of the game that it can really mess other things up if you fix it. I get all that. But still, it takes way too long to join a lobby. You can still be searching for minutes on end, and the game still, some things are fixed, some glitches, some stuff, but new things are popping up. When I'm recording this, there's the one going around that if you try and do an environmental kill on somebody, it kind of glitches you out, and you'll separate yourself picking the person up. You'll be 20 feet away, and they'll just kind of be dangling in midair until they break your grab, and then you'll get into that situation where you kill 9 out of 7 people or 10 out of 7 people, which is it's a statistically impossible thing to do, by the way, but Friday the 13th allows you to do it. And that kind of encapsulates the game. I mean, I honestly feel like if you watch that, even Ohm has done a lot of that kind of stuff recently. He's played more Friday the 13th, and that kind of summarizes I think honestly his Let's Plays, his 30-minute videos of Friday the 13th is a perfect summary of what the game is. I get that he kind of laughs off the glitches, but truly, and at least in my opinion, I don't laugh them off. I honestly get pretty annoyed. If that were to happen to me, I'd be annoyed. Just watching it, it's kind of okay, it's kind of funny, seeing their faces, how the animations are pretty bad, and they're just, dangling in mid. Yeah, you can laugh at that, but then you think about it, and you think, this game's 3 years old. Why is it still like this? And so I feel like if you go down and again, like I'm not wrong for thinking that. You're not wrong for not thinking that if you don't, right? So I think it definitely is where you stand on your fun meter of what you kind of expect this game to give you, both back in 2017 and right now. Again, I'm not discrediting. I'm trying to stay in the middle. I see all the good it's done. I see why it's popular. I mean, I played it. I loved at its core, and when it first came out, I adored that game. It's just that months after months passed, and it was still kind of the exact same thing. And like there's just some things in the game where you expect to eventually get better, and they still routinely don't. And again, it's what makes me most scared about Predator is it can do it again. It can do what Friday the 13th, they can come out and it could be this massive thing. You know, YouTubers could cover it. It could be a huge, huge thing for so many people. And it can do all that. And it can actually keep it instead of dropping the ball, which I truly do believe. I just factually think that's the case. I mean, the enthusiasm, and I get it. You're not going to have the same level of excitement for a game or even the same amount of people playing the game as you did at launch 3 years later. Okay, you're never going to do it. Obviously, there was going to be drop-off. But I feel like Friday the 13th had an enormous one. And yes, again, you could blame the lack of adding to it. You could say games like Dead by Daylight, games like Rocket League, games like Star Wars Battlefront 2. There's loads of examples of games that continuously add to themselves and really beef up the value, and you could come back to it years later, and it's a drastic, and that's ultimately what I want to drive home. Maybe it's just because I've played a lot of Battlefront 2 over the last couple months, but like that's a prime example of I didn't play that game, I believe, not one, besides like the end of December. I didn't play that game at all in 2019. I last played it in 2018. And coming back at the end of 2019 and now into 2020, it has never been better. It's amazing. And I always thought the game was really good. Even upon launch, I thought the game was solid, good, I don't know, whatever you want to rate it. But I would say now, it's even better. It's so much better, right? Because of just all the additions. You can tell there's been a lot, even just that. Even if you've never played the game before, but I showed you it in 2017 versus now, you would say, oh, there's drastic improvement. And I think and I get it. It's EA, it's DICE, it's big. It's a big deal. It's a big deal game. So for Friday the 13th, it's not as big, right? The developers don't have that kind of size. They don't have that kind of money, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not saying I expect exactly that. But if I showed you Friday the 13th, there's not much that's changed. I mean, yes, some things are fixed. Some things have been improved upon. But at the same time, like new things have continuously popped up. And I just don't think there's been nearly enough added to the game to improve its kind of base, right? To kind of constantly bring people back. I don't really know. Here's the thing you could answer me if you want to make your point or to make my point in this way. I don't know what drives people or what would drive a person to play Friday the 13th now. What is new and exciting and fresh about the game now that wasn't there a year and a half, 2 years ago? What is that thing? And if you can answer me, that's awesome. But I truly don't know what it is, and that's my point. Is in my opinion, there is nothing. And again, I get it. You can't. They literally cannot add certain things to that game. But the game could just be better. It could run better, glitches and stuff like that. It could take less time. It can be a more pleasurable experience to get into the game and play the game. Literally, the fundamental mechanics of the game could be a little bit better. And you could probably notice that too if that happened. And has it? Yeah, to an extent, but not fully. And I think that honestly still haunts the game. And so, again, like, you could watch this whole video and say, wow, he really hates it or he's really bagging it. I'm not. I mean, I like this idea as a video. I wanted to just have a discussion of what's happened, basically, with Friday the 13th. I love the game, okay? I love it. It did a lot of great things for the channel. It was some of our biggest videos. It still is, to this day. Some of those videos I made for that game are some of our biggest ever. The giveaway we gave away the game for free. That was one of the first giveaways we ever did. It was the biggest giveaway we've ever done. We've given away like 50 things on this channel, and that's the biggest one. So it's done so many phenomenal things, and I also just loved it as a game. I played like 50 hours of that in that summertime because I love that game. I had so much fun. But there's just something to it where it's like it got old and it got repetitive, and then the game also never at one point did actually work, and then that gets kind of frustrating, and then there's really nothing that gets added to it to make me come back to it, and then it continues to not work, and then eventually, and then other games come out, and eventually it kind of just gets left behind, and that's the point that I'm trying to drive home in the Predator videos I do. I do not want that for Predator. I want it to be different. I want the same start, minus all of the glitches and taking 10 minutes to join a lobby. I don't want that. But besides that, I want the start Friday the 13th had for Predator, but I also want it to keep that for as long as possible and build on it. Having Sony's backing, having that Predator license, not having a lawsuit there, I think they'll be able to do what they couldn't do with Friday the 13th. I'm just mainly afraid of how the game actually runs, and I will continue to say that in every single video I think I make of the game. So guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think about the story? What do you think? What did you think about Friday the 13th when it came out? Do you still play it now? Have you ever played it? All of those things, let me know in the comments below. Make sure you guys are subscribed to our YouTube channel podcast. Now hit that bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. And thank you all so much for watching. New videos every single day. We cover Predator as well on this channel. Every like 2-ish weeks, I like to try to have a Predator video. As we get closer to Predator coming out, I will continue to cover that as well and play the game and do all that stuff. So lots of Predator stuff coming as well. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video.